Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have y'all back with me. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. HicksonHasIt.com. HicksonHasIt.com. Don't forget to check out Dallas Hickson and the gang. All right. The name of the book is Racelift. Actually, the gentleman sitting here with me, because he lives in this area, he's a basketball coach by trade. I hope I'm saying that right. Yes. His name is Mr. Myron Guillory. Myron, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Moon. Great to be on your show.
A basketball guy, but were you born and raised in Louisiana?
Yes, born in Mamo, Louisiana, big city, and then I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Oh, no. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Barb High School.
Oh, he went here. I know all about Barb High School. You play college ball?
Yeah, played college ball at Virginia Tech, so was there from 94 to 98 playing ball, and coached for 10 years college basketball.
What'd you coach at Tech?
Well, I'll tell you what, I coached at Colorado State. I started off at Nicholls State with Coach Ricky Broussard, who's from the area.
Ricky. I know Ricky.
Yeah, and I went to Campbell University, and then my last job was at Liberty University in Virginia.
Had a buddy of mine, he's been on this program before, Coach Bob Leahy, coached at Liberty.
Okay.
And I want to say he stayed there 10 years. He was a football coach. Okay. And he was that Sam Bertigliano, how you say his name, coached at Cleveland Browns. I think he was at Liberty. Was he at Liberty at one time?
I'm unsure. Okay,
well,
unsure.
I hope I got the school right. If my text starts going off, Coach will kill me, man.
I have to do my Liberty research on that one.
By the way, I'm hoping Coach is not listening today if I got it right. I hope he's fishing. The book, Racelift, talk a little bit about the book. Give us a general summary of what people can read. By the way, where can they get the book?
Well, in fact, you can get the book on westbowpress.com. You can also go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. And if you're local here in Lafayette, Louisiana, the local store Barnes and Noble, they'll have that on the shelves.
Okay, that's awesome. But a little bit about the book.
Well, the book is really about looking at races, and we want races to go to the mirror, which we say, which is the word of God. And James mentioned that in James 1 verse 23. It talks about a man looking at his face in the mirror, but immediately once he looks at it, he forgets about it. And that's similar to somebody who's reading the word of God, who hears it, but at the end of the day, they don't do what the word says.
Correct.
So what we're trying to do is have different races go to the mirror. In this case, we're taking it from an African American perspective, and it's almost like going through a surgery. And so it's going deep into the depths of African American culture, from their family, community, and church. And it's really getting to some core issues that many times may be talked about at the kitchen table, but not exposed publicly.
And it gets in a political system too, where I wish that would go away.
Yeah.
Politically speaking, when I say that, some of it's got to be politics to make some changes. But I think what you're dealing with when you say look in the mirror, when I look in the mirror, I see me. So I think that's what you're saying. Definitely. As an individual looking in the mirror, you see you. Okay, what are you going to do?
Exactly. And so that's the biggest thing. It's many times we can try to fix our problem in America, the identity of America, by pointing the finger at others. And that's easy to do.
Yes, sir.
But what this goes on and it says that, as an African American male, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and see what some of the flaws are, because everybody has flaws. When you look at your face in the mirror, you're going to see something.
We got rid of mirrors in my house a long time. Brandon brings me a mirror every now and then, shows
just
it
to show it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and in this case, this is what it's doing. We're looking at ourselves in the mirror without pointing any blame, and just seeing who's going to be the one that can fix those blemishes, who can wipe those blemishes away, and it's not going to be me. And so, as I mentioned to everybody, from a spiritual perspective, we're trying to lead every single race back to our Christian heritage. Yeah. Where we started from.
Yeah, good point. And by the way, when you say this, and you mention African Americans, this goes for everybody. This goes for me too. It goes for Brandon. It goes for everybody, is what you're really saying. If you really think about it, and the way our history has come and evolved, everybody can do that. Everybody can do what you're saying. And by the way, you change yourself is what you're saying, but it's helped by God, not just you.
Not just me. Exactly right. So this book transcends race. I mean, when you look at it, when you look at the symptoms and the diagnoses, I believe that every race will at least have one or two or even more. So I think it can transform people's lives, because I look at it like this, even in the game of basketball, you tend to have empathy for when you have the same goals. And so when you start to look at this book, you start to see that it's not just about a certain race, but if I have some similarities with people, I can empathize with people, and therefore I can grow with people.
Well, that's why I said earlier, and I hadn't got a chance to read the book, but I said earlier, this is not, and you mentioned about African Americans, but this is not about just that. This is about anybody. This is about me.
Yes.
This is about anybody wanting to change and change the direction of their life.
Exactly. And the thing about it, what we're trying to bring solutions to, because many people have philosophical issues that they are political issues. They say they can change this world, but none of those things have worked. We've tried all of that.
Let me tell you something. You and me can never change one heart.
Not at all.
Only God can. So if that's the case, you go back to what you earlier talked about, going back to the basics. You got to get right with the Lord. You got to be right with yourself. And if you're sitting in the mirror, looking in the mirror, blaming somebody else, you're probably not moving forward.
Not at all. You know, we have our different ways to win. Sure. And so just like I take it as a basketball coach, you start to look at a team. And there's the coach puts forward a format on how to win the basketball game, but then you have players competing against not only the other team, but many times when I was a college player, we were competing amongst ourselves.
Absolutely. That's when the battles took place.
And that's the major battles, and that's what's going on to me in the United States is that, you know, everybody has a different view about what's a win. And so with that, because there's no conglomeration on that, we start to win in different areas. We start to have different viewpoints about various things, and there's no common standard on how to win. And so therefore, we're in a pickle like we're in right now in our nation.
Yeah, you know, you sound a little bit or he sounds like you. We've been fortunate to have Tony Robichaux, who's a baseball coach with the Raging Cajuns,
mm-hmm.
and he talks about young men manning up, being a man. He talks about the spiritual side. He talked about throwing a baseball. He can teach you how to do that, but now he's about teaching young people about life.
Right.
Because he said a baseball is going to go away and a football is going to go away and your basketball career is over. I don't think you're going to score any more points. I know I'm not.
Not one more bucket I'll make.
But so now how does basketball take you to your next level? It doesn't.
Well, I tell you what, the thing about what basketball did,
No, but I said it doesn't take.
No, it doesn't.
You're not making money with that.
Not at all.
Like when you were playing college, and not that you got paid all. But what I'm saying is that took you so far, and that life lessons will last you the rest of your life. But when you come into a tough time, it could be job, kids, a tragedy. You can't go back and say, let me run back to basketball, because that's not there anymore. What you're talking about is something that changes hearts and soul of men and women.
Exactly. I'm talking about a true answer. I'm talking about something that's proven, and that's when I put my faith in Jesus Christ. I've seen it for myself, and not just about myself, but I've seen it among other people. And I've also seen, even in terms of races come together because of Jesus Christ, where they can put their particular philosophies or some of their selfish desires away and start to bring that to Jesus Christ, where it starts to unify people and bring peace.
The name of the book is Racelift. Myron Guillory is the author of the book, and but you do focus a lot dealing with the African American community and some of the problems they had. Off the air, I said I think the biggest problem, besides the spiritual side, and I still believe this, is the illegitimacy. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that just in the black community. I mean that in the country. Mm-hmm. Because you got people having babies, but you don't have grown-ups and parents and a mom and dad coming together to have a child so they can raise that child.
Right.
Because you think about that, the most important thing I have to do on this earth, one of the biggest, is if I have children and God bless me with them, it's my responsibility, mine and my wife's, to make sure those kids are raised properly.
I agree 100%. I think one of the biggest problems that we've dealt with in the African American community is black males in terms of abandonment of the families, and that's something we talk about in the book. And like you said, that transcends race. That's across the board.
But it happens in all societies. Trust me, brother.
Right.
But in the African American community, the inner cities, there's so many, and it's happening over and over again. And that young male, not in every case, but too much. Just say too much. I think you would agree with that.
I would agree.
That is something that has to change if we're going to change the country.
I agree, because, listen, when God ordained family, he ordained that before the government and even the church. So that means that family is very important in terms of having a foundation. If you want a good nation, you have to have a good family. So with that being said, we're trying to go back to the family as in terms of bringing love as a foundation. If you have love as a man, you're going to take care of your kids. So, this book kind of hits really hard on men. I mean, it drives men, but it's really to motivate men to get back and take care of their responsibilities, which is taking care of their wives, taking care of their children, and not abandoning or running away. We have to be there if we want this nation to have a strong foundation.
That would change race relationships and everything on what you just said. That would change, more importantly, the person inside. Because the changed heart is the only way you'll change. The book is Racelift. Myron Guillory, my special guest. We're going to come back and visit a few more minutes with him. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back. Hi, hello, welcome back. Oh, yeah, laughing about good old times and and life. That's really great. Myron Guillory, my special guest. Race, not facelift, Racelift is the name of it. And you do focus on African Americans and the men. And everybody knows that's been a problem. It's just been a problem with lack of dads in the home and some of the things that have happened. What I like, and I hadn't read the book yet, but and maybe you can tell me, I think what you're focusing on too is and when I go back to Tony Roberts' show, is these young people becoming young men and having some guidance in their life, maybe because dad's not there, and there's no stronger God than Jesus Christ, no stronger God than what God can teach you to do. Yeah. And I believe a lot of the single women, maybe not all, men, black or white, they're trying to do that, but it's hard. If you got 2 or 3 kids, it makes it tough.
Yeah, in the book we talk about the unisex mom trying to take on both roles,
and it's a shame.
And it's tough. A shame. Listen, my hat goes off to them. I applaud them for what they're doing, and I know many of them, and so they're doing the best possible job that they can be. But it's very tough if men are abandoning them and not having relationships where we can have a family where there's man and woman in the household, because it makes things, it simplifies things, and it also helps build young men as well. Because I know for myself, it was when I had a dad in the home.
Well, I was going to ask you, what was your situation?
Yeah, my father was there. My mother and father. I'm from a 2-parent home, and I know just from having that, my dad showed me a lot of things. There's some things now that I instill in my son that came from my dad. So that foundation is very good. But I still know that you still have hope if you don't have a dad, because obviously God will come in and intervene.
Well, you got people where the dad gets killed or dies or whatever. Exactly. I mean, those situations can happen. We understand that.
Exactly.
But that's not the majority of what's going on right now.
Exactly. We don't want to make an excuse for men running away and not taking care of their responsibilities. And I think that's what the book is really about, telling the truth in love and trying to graciously bring men back to their families. And having a heart for Christ. Listen, when you love your children, you're not going to abandon them. With abandonment, there's also some internal issues that I believe some African American men have to deal with, and so we need some help in that to get back to the families.
And I told you about one of my sons, because I divorced him.
Right.
Before, and I had 2 boys and all that stuff. They ended up, by the grace of God, coming back to me. I had to raise them through the difficult times. But my point being is, you talk about these men that could have such an influence on a young man, and I think what happens, and by the way, when I say this, I'm not so much in the race. I mean,
right.
Kids in general, boys in general, is there's a lot of anger out there with some people. So they turn to things that they wouldn't turn to if dad was still there. They turn to drugs and alcohol and pornography or whatever. Now, we know people turn to that with parents in the home. So just imagine, take 10 kids. Who would you bet on? Give me 10 kids that are raised up, mom and dad loving on them, teaching them, disciplining them, bringing them to church. Let's see what happens with those 10, and give me 10 that's not in the home. Right. Now, I like my chances with the 10 that have been taught something.
And statistics prove it as well.
And by the way, that don't mean out of the 10 you won't have several of this go off the straight and narrow. But on the other side, I think you will have more go off the straight and narrow. Exactly.
Well, statistics prove that as well. And also, it's God's way. And so we can try to justify it. We can try to justify it and say, well, these are some various reasons. And I understand there's some ramifications that happen in the home that are, it's just unjust and it's nothing that can be done about it. But what I want to say is that from the very initial, we have to speak to young men in a way where they understand what it means to win in life. And that's very important to me, because many times, even when you're talking about as a basketball team, there's some people that just don't know how to win because nobody talked to them about the process. And many times the process in life is bringing them back to the Savior who's the champion of life. And so when you're looking at his life and looking at Jesus' life, and if that's an illustration for you, he's showing us how to win. And if you can try to justify it, you can run away from it, but it doesn't take the fact that it's one way to win in life, and doing it God's way is the way.
No doubt about it. Myron Guillory, my special guest. Racelift is his book. This would be good for all, black, white, green, or yellow, to read the book. What has your response been? Have you laid this in the hands of the people that you're targeting here in this situation and said, hey, just share this, just read this, just trust me on this? What's been your response? Because I know you've had to do some of that. You want to get your book out. You want to get it in the right hands. You want people to read it.
Well, you know what? I had an opportunity to do that, thank God. And you know what? The response has been unbelievable. The response has really been, there's some things that I knew about myself that I didn't want to expose, because many times some people have mentioned about they want to maintain their position, their popularity. And when you start to talk about yourself and start to look in the mirror, sometimes you you get to a vulnerable point. And many times people don't want to face vulnerability because you start to feel that you lose your platform. But the people who've read the book said that, as I started to read it, when I got in the examination room, it was a tough feeling because there was some truths that I had to hear. But as I started to look at the process and how God works with me and has grace and mercy for me, regardless of what I've done, I can still be restored. They saw that there was victory. So at the end of the book, many people are coming back saying, you know what, I've experienced victory, and it's led many people to go back and start reading the even greater book, which is the Bible. So that's really the point of this Racelift. It's not a substitute for the Bible. It's just a compliment.
You give them a good base to start.
Exactly.
And then they go to the real base.
There we go.
That's what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, indeed.
The way to change the country. Brian has been here with me almost 3 years now. I've talked about this many times, and I've said this for 20-something years that I've been on the air, that I thought illegitimacy. I don't care what color you are. I don't care. Illegitimacy, especially younger age people, you're not even mature enough to handle yourself. And I used to tell my kids this, and Brandon laughs at me when I told them. I told my boys this. They were both, one was 16, one was 18. I said, all right, guys, I want to talk to y'all. I said, okay, y'all got to be 16, 18 years old. Let me just explain something to you. From 16 to 24, you're dumb as you're ever going to be. Well, now you're going. But now you remember this is a dad to something. I said, you're stupid. And they looked at me. I said, don't feel bad. I'm stupid too. I said, some people think I'm stupid at 55. I said, don't worry about it. I said, you're stupid. I said, because now what you got is we give you a vehicle. You got more money than I got. You always happen to have money to go do what you want to do. And I said, y'all think y'all know what a woman is? I said, trust me, you'll never figure that out. But that's another point. I said, So what I'm telling y'all going to start making decisions now because you can move around and make your own decisions. And now old dad ain't too bright. That's fine, everybody. So my kids would make a mistake and they come back, Dad, and you talk to you. Yeah, what's up? I know. They look down, I'm stupid. I said, well, you're getting smarter. You realize how stupid you are, but what's the problem? So anyway, we'll deal with them like that. That way I had a little fun in it, but I think they understood. So both of my kids, when they turned 26, 16 to 24, and when they turned 25, they both called me. Hey, man, happy birthday. He said, hey, Dad, guess what it is? I said, what's that? He said, I'm 25. I said, I know how old you are. I'm the one who had you. He said, guess what else? I said, what? He said, I ain't stupid no more. He said, I'm 25. I said, well, how you figure that? He said, well, you said 16 to 24. I said, son, I got bad news for you. That's the average. And look there, go, oh, Dad. I said, it's the average. I don't know. So the second one did the same thing. He called me and I said, son, that's the average. Mm-hmm. Oh, I ain't believing you now. I said, it's the average, son. I'm not saying you're bringing it up and down. I don't know that yet.
Still have much left.
Anyway, but think about it. All I was doing was putting something in their mind to realize you're going to fail. Just come back and talk to me. Come back and talk to Mama, and just let's deal with it, because you're gonna make bad decisions. Because I'm still making them, and I'm be 56 next week.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing what you're doing too, Moon, is that you're giving your son some affirmation as well about who they are as men. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Even with illegitimacy, like you were talking about, many times young men, young women, whoever it is. In those cases, you're looking for affirmation, trying to figure out who you are, and trying to get some substance about who you are.
Myron, how old are you?
41.
Okay. Back in my day, when I was a young man, the country shunned out of wedlock. And they did it for a reason. People thought that was ugly. They didn't shun them and throw them in jail. They just said, look, that's not what we do. And that's why, because it's the consequences we've paid for 40, 50, 60 years of this. That's why. What you're talking about is bringing men back in, because like you said, you're tough on men. Be a man. Grow up to be a man. Take responsibility.
I agree.
Got a minute left. Wrap it up.
The biggest thing what I want people to take out of this book is understanding that God is gracious. Regardless of where you are in life, God is going to meet you where you are, but he won't keep you that way. And at the end of the day, my biggest thing for all races, and this is America, for America to come back and change her identity through Christ, which America will see that we are united, we are one, we can bring peace, and we can bring love as long as our focus and our standard is Jesus Christ.
You're the man. Myron Guillory, the book is Racelift. Make sure you check it out. Thank you, Myron. Been great, buddy.
Thank you, Moon.
Right, we'll take a quick break. Donald Trump, all that stuff in the second hour. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.